All right, stay on schedule. We're going to go ahead and get this thing kicked off. So again, this will be recorded. We will hold one-off sessions afterwards if needed. Welcome to the Flow Route and BCM Voice Compliance webinar. Today is July 24th, 2025, 2 p.m. Eastern. I'll be your host today, also joined by our group president, Ben Macalindong. So he may jump in and out as well. But appreciate everybody jumping on. We know there's been a number of questions and folks reaching out as it relates to upcoming compliance items. So wanted to pull our trusted partners together today, let you know where we're at, and also share some updates as we move along here. Again, this will be recorded, uploaded to our YouTube page, and we will hold one-off sessions. So let's go ahead and get started. So today we're going to touch on mainly four things. Risk of failure from a compliance standpoint. Again, we've received a number of questions over the last 4 or 5 months around this topic. Those topics being KYC, know your customer, know your business, and stir shaken. We'll get into the RMD registration. What does that look like? And then we'll end with, safe or not safe. What actions can you take to make sure you are protected as a business partner as these items start rolling out from a compliance standpoint. So again, I'm going to keep it to about 25, 30 minutes, leave some time for questions at the end. You'll hear from myself as well as Ben Mac throughout the session. So really for today, guys, wanted to get ahead of the noise, right? Been a number of conversations, a number of one-off meetings around some of the items here. But the big thing we've noticed as a provider from the flow route standpoint is everybody seemed to have a bit of different information. So we wanted to pull the group together today. Again, this is not legal advice by any means, letting you know where we're at as a carrier, what we're seeing in the industry, and what we've learned from other partners like yourself. So just some common terms you will see you'll need to be aware of as we go through the session. And again, we welcome you guys to learning more about this topic. So the big thing off of KYC and stir shaken is the business model. Again, I'm going to breeze through 4 of these here. And there's more than just this, but really look at yourself as a partner, as a dealer, as a reseller, whatever term you use, look at how you're going to market. So the big thing that's going to be on the line here with stir shaken and KYC is how you're going to market from that partnership standpoint. So 4 of the common ones we've seen from a flow route perspective and across all of our brands is you've built something, right? You built something that's voice enabled. So think something that's newer AI tech, AI agents. Maybe you had used a competitor that offered this as well, such as Twilio or someone of that nature. We see the second one, I'd say a ton on our Siptrunk brand as well as our flow route brand. So you're acting as a voice company, you're billing, you're bundling. Maybe you're not registered. Maybe that's how you got started in the business. Didn't think voice was going to be a huge component of your revenue, and now it is. The third one, I'd say the other component of flow route that we see is you're acting as a voice company, truly are wholesaling. You're doing branded billing, more of a white label approach. You're bundling, you're registered in the RMD, you're 499 filer, all those good things. That's how you're going to market. That's one other model as well. And the last one that I think is probably most misunderstood, especially from a partnership and an MSP perspective, is you're just trying to consolidate billing, right? You're putting multiple services into one platform. You own the invoice and you own the customer from that perspective. So the big thing here as we get into KYC and stir shaken and we walk through what you're going to learn today is all of these matter. So really look at how you're going to market as a business. Do you have the company wherewithal to go through some of the items that you're going to need to go through? Do you want to go through it? I think is the big thing. Again, we've had a number of folks reach out to us. What would you guys advise? Again, not legal advice. At the end, there will be a section of mentors you can lean on and some folks to reach out to. But again, we just want to really do a public service announcement of what we're seeing, partners we talk to on a daily basis, and what types of models are going to be potentially affected by this. So again, the big thing with KYC and Stir Shaken sounds a lot like 10DLC, right? We're heading down that path. So a lot of what we're going to touch on today is registration for calling. A lot of this has been brought on from bad actors, which again, typically how it works, right? It's exactly what happened from a 10DLC perspective. But the big thing here is, what worked yesterday may not work tomorrow or may be affected. So that's why we wanted to hold this session today of, here's what to look out for. Again, here's what we're seeing. 10DLC came at everybody really fast. I know we felt that as well. You also have the wireless carrier component when they started blocking email to SMS. So again, just be prepared. What's working now, if you look at the tea leaves from a Stir Shaken KYC perspective, heading down a bit different path, and this administration is not holding back in terms of restrictions and requirements. So keep that in mind as we walk through this. And the big piece to start with, right? So this all rolls together is KYC, know your customer, know your business. Again, if you look at some of the situations that have happened in the industry with some fraudulent situations, a lot of it stems from a carrier or a partner not knowing their customer or the business that they're letting on, right? So essentially, what is KYC? It's essentially a process used to verify the identity of customers. Now, all of you folks here, from a partnership standpoint, most of you are going on site, you're doing installs, you have years of billing history, you know that customers, you know where they're at, you know their billing information, all that sort of thing. Again, that's the type of model that we want to support. That's the healthy model. But unfortunately, there's been some folks that have taken advantage of that. And this has caused ripple effects within the industry. So what you're seeing now, if you kind of rewind, they didn't call it KYC. And we'll touch on this in a bit here. And Ben may have a couple bullet points on this as well. But think of a credit check. Think of a souped up credit check to give your customers. What are they going to need to fill out in terms of verifying the identity of that customer? Again, even if they are right down the road from you, you have billing history, you've seen them in person, they've been to your office. There's going to be some extra components that customer is going to need to fill out from a KYC component. We'll touch on a bit more of that later. But again, the big thing is looking to mitigate illegal calling and to comply with regulations. So Ben, anything you'd add on the importance of KYC from what you've seen over the last few months? Again, I'll get into a bit more detail on the credit check component here.
Yeah, no, whether you see it from us or if you're dealing with another provider, they're gonna tell you the same information. So we want to try to get in front of the train here and get our partners like yourselves informed, ready for the next phase. And I think Mitch will kind of talk about the FCC end date, and we'll go from there. Mitch?
Yeah, thank you. So before we get to that, just a couple components of it, right? As I mentioned, think credit check. We mentioned that as we've had these meetings with other partners because it's the easiest to refer to. Before somebody signs a contract, you're having them go through a credit application. But the big piece here is it's going to be required, but it's not prescriptive. So again, just giving you a couple highlights of what you may see. And we've already started issuing this a bit for some newer end users. So again, simple things: business name, business address, EIN, Dun & Bradstreet lookup, utility bill, bank reference. We didn't call it KYC 4, 5, 6 years ago, right? This was a typical credit check. But again, the way the industry has been trending, it's going back to this to verify who is signing up for what service, what phone numbers are they using, and where did they come from. So again, it's essentially a risk assessment tool, and it allows for ongoing monitoring as well. So if there are suspicious traffic patterns, we can reach out to partners like yourself. We can take action on that DID or that customer or sub account. It limits the customer capacity from folks signing up that, again, are bad actors. So, and it allows folks that are going to do this themselves, which you'll see in a second here. And if you're going to go to market as that wholesaler, as that bundler, you will need your own KYC components. So again, what we want to show you guys today is just to inform you of items and steps that we're taking to be compliant from a KYC perspective. This isn't all of them. Again, there's about a list of 15 components that the FCC has shared. It's not prescriptive, so it's going to be a mix and match of those 15 or so. Again, this is evolving. We'll give you more information on this as we go through it ourselves, but think credit check, think what can I do to verify that this person is real, they're signing up for my service, or as well as BCM or flow route. Think picture of IDs. That's been a common one. So again, multiple components here. You will not get a, here's your checklist of what you need to do. You will get a checklist of, here's what we recommend you look at. So to Ben's point about a date, you'll notice it's crossed out, and wanted to show this today because this, over the last month, this is where we've gotten a number of reach outs and a number of side conversations. I think a few of those partners and folks are on here today. But again, you'll notice that June 20th has come and gone. Again, StirShaken has been around for some time now. But what we know right now is there is no new date. I know that's not the best answer, not what everyone wants to hear. But what we do know, and Ben can shed some light on this in a minute as well, but there's no new date. But when there is a date, there's going to be 30 days. So again, informing people now to get ahead of this, get prepped, get ready, make a decision on how they want to go to market as a partner, as a reseller, and things you're going to need to do to be compliant in the future. Again, we want to work with folks like yourself. We want you guys to be safe and compliant, and we want to support you in doing that. So again, June 20th has come and gone, but what's made up of that, right? It started with KYC for a reason, from a know your customer component. StirShaken's kind of the second piece of that. So third-party signing will be allowed. I know we've had a number of folks reach out to us for this. Again, get with your legal advisor on this as well, but resellers may use third-party entities to sign calls with a StirShaken authentication. So more to come on that. The big piece here is if you're going to decide to do it, and I have a diagram on this in a second, you need to determine the level of that call, A, B, or C. So again, some of you folks are doing that today. Some of you folks are having us do that. But the big change there is even when you're using that third party signing. So there's going to be more responsibility on you as the reseller or the bundler or the wholesaler, whatever version you are, to go through these steps to make sure you're not only KYC compliant, but now StirShaken compliant. The token is a one that's been coming up a decent amount as well. So that would need to be purchased, and you'd actually have your own digital certificate as well. So you must obtain that to be StirShaken compliant. Again, these are items that we're going through ourselves, and every other carrier will be doing this as well. And depending on how the FCC and how you're registered in the RMD will determine what you need to do from a partnership perspective as well. So again, big piece here, no new date, but when there is a new date, 30 days. So I've already had some partners reach out to us and tell us that they're going through the application to become, to get their own token, to go through and register with the RMD. Some aren't. Big call out here is just, we don't know when, but again, 30 days from said date, you will need to have these. So make the decision now, get in front of it now. Again, if you want to talk to another partner that's going through this, we have 5 or 6, I'd say friendly mentors that are happy to tell you what they are doing, what they've heard from their legal team as well, because it's all been slightly different. Ben, anything you want to add to this before I jump to the rest of StirShaken?
No, Mitch, you're doing a great job.
So from a call signing standpoint, guys, this is where we really want to break down what StirShaken is, right? I know there's a lot on here, but the big component is it's to verify caller ID authenticity, right? So again, the purpose, ensure the caller's identity matches the displayed number. Think 10 DLC, right? Same thing everyone's gone through over there. Can we verify, who's sending this message? What is the message for? That's the path that this is headed down. So again, how it works, the way to wrap this slide up for you is just that you need a digital certificate to sign the call, and it allows the carrier, whether it's you or us, depending on your model, to basically say, is this legit or not? So again, an impact from a partnership standpoint, this will be mandatory to comply depending on that business model and what you hear from your legal team and how you're registered with the RMD. I'm going to talk about the RMD in a second. That's the robocall mitigation database. But again, depending on how you are shown, and they actually ask you to list out what you're doing as a partner, and they will come back with, you land in this box or you land in this box and slightly that box. So again, the whole point of this is from a call signing standpoint. It's the framework around it. But the big piece here is you will need that digital certificate to verify. So just think of verification for calls, much like you're going through with 10DLC and SMS. Now, there are two signing services that we have had a good experience with. So if you're interested in going to market in that kind of bundler model where you're going to do a portion of this, reach out to the two folks listed there to get some more information from a call signing standpoint. Again, happy to have a one-off session on that. There's a lot more you can go into there. Again, we do this all as a carrier for most of you here, but there are some that will fall in that bucket. But again, big piece, you will need that token, you will need that digital certificate, and you will have to own if that caller is legitimate or not. So to break that down even further, again, I know this is a lot from if you haven't seen this before, from a stir shaking standpoint, but do you want to have the infrastructure or the people or the process to go through this yourself? So again, to verify, is it an A? Is it a B? Is it a C? Right? That's going to depend on your business model. And like I said earlier, the big component here is they're not prescriptive from a KYC perspective. So from a stir shaking perspective, again, you're going to have to make a decision on what we are as a partner, as a reseller, as a wholesaler, and do we want to invest in creating a timeline for this? The biggest component of this, which I believe it's on my next slide, but you're going to have to, as a carrier or a wholesaler or bundler, you're going to have to respond within 24 hours if something gets flagged. Now that flag could be, a complaint, a fraud complaint. Doesn't matter. You have to respond in 24 hours. Doesn't matter if it's a Tuesday or a Friday at 3 a.m. You have to respond in that 24-hour period. And what we've seen and heard is if you do not respond, they are going to go looking elsewhere within your business, right? So again, do you want to own that signing portion? If there is a bad actor, again, do you have the team in place to go chase that down, organize the data needed to then respond to the FCC with, here's what happened. So again, that's the big component that folks have come to us on that they have not gone through yet. And it starts with filing with the RMD. So again, go start that. It's going to ask you to list out how you're going to market, and they'll come back with, again, you look like this. I've heard people be partially registered. People have to be fully registered. It depends, right? So again, start there, see where you land, and then start making the decision on how do we want to do this from a call signing standpoint. Because again, back to, I think it was slide 2 or 3, what used to work isn't going to work in the future. So it used to be, just pass it down the road. It's on the carrier. That's not the case anymore. If you look like X, you're going to need to own it. So again, full, partial, or non-IP, couple things to look out for. But the big component of this is, do you want to own this? So back to the robocall mitigation plan, as I mentioned, the 24 hours. It's actively enforced, right? We've seen fines. Again, I'm going to keep mentioning 10DLC, but same situation. If you do not respond, if you do not comply, there's potential, this is about 240,000 here, but is that per call? Is that per incident? Think about how many calls per second or per minute in a case of a bad actor. So big component here is just building that team of, we are going to be stir shaking compliant. We are going to own this, and we are going to respond if there are traceback request. Again, have to be filed in RMD to be able to do that, which is where this all starts. We don't want you guys receiving any penalties. We don't want to be going through this either. So big piece here, start educating clients. You know, there's a lot more to this than what folks had initially thought. You want to avoid call blocking from your end as well. So if there are folks that are unregistered or numbers that are unregistered, or there's non-compliant traffic, that day's coming, right? 30 days, there will be a blockage. So again, go through the steps now. Am I registered in the RMD? Do I have a KYC plan? Do I have a stir shaken plan? What do I look like as a partner, as a reseller, as a wholesaler? What do I want to look like once that magic 30 days come up? So again, kind of goes in order, KYC to stir shaken, but the big component here is what do I want to own as a reseller, as a partner? What am I good at? Where do you make your most revenue? We have a number of partners that have told us, hey, this is 10%, 15% of our revenue. I can't devote that much time and energy to it. Those folks, safest thing to do would be to not go down this path, right? Not be their own carrier, not be registered with the RMD. And it starts with, which we'll touch on in a second, you know, who owns the billing. So
Mitch,
again, go ahead.
Mitch, real quick, just want to ask you a question. What is the worst case scenario if something doesn't get responded to, or there is a complaint? What happens? What's the worst thing that can happen to the call?
Shut down. Immediate shutdown. So yeah, guys, what you want to look out for here is, again, you need to support your customers with calling. You know, if this does not comply, their service will be turned off. It's essentially an outage at that point. An outage that unfortunately could have been prevented, right? Depending on what your profile is and how you're going to market. So again, this is serious. We just want to get ahead of it with, here's what we're seeing, here's what we're hearing, and here's what other folks are doing. And here's the model that's going to keep you safe, or here's the model that if I'm going to go down this route, here's what we're being told will keep you safe. So again, just kind of a public service announcement on to Ben's point there is traffic will be shut down and there will be the fine portion, which again is coming from the FCC. So really 3 profiles to it. Most of you are going to fall on the middle and the far right here. But I think we've mentioned this in a couple other one-on-one sessions, and I know Ben likes this statement, but truth in billing. So again, depending on how you're going to market, it starts with who owns that bill. As we mentioned, you bundle other services, you know, you're not registered from a taxation standpoint. You're going to have to look at that. You have flow route or another BCM service bill your end user, we'll handle all that, right? We know who that customer is. We know we can put them through additional verification steps if needed on our side. We own the infrastructure, we own the call signing. So again, it really starts with who owns the bill. Now, again, from a bundling perspective, what are you bundling, right? So I know in our side conversations with a few of you, hey, I own the bill, but I don't have infrastructure. I don't want to do call signing. And I know my customer, but I don't have a know your customer process. So that's something you're going to need to go to your legal team and look at of, okay, I own the bill, but what other portions of this am I going to need to own? And it starts with registering in the RMD. So again, a lot of our folks are in the quote unquote dealer model, and then our reseller wholesale bar model where they do own the bill. So again, go to your team, talk to your legal person about all this. But if you do not own the bill, you're covered. The carrier covers it. We'll cover that for you. Versus if you do own it, you're going to have to go through some extra steps. So I know there's a hybrid of this where a lot of you do not have infrastructure, but you will have everything else listed there. Again, that's something you're going to need to talk to your legal team about. You're going to need to talk to one of the call signing services about, and you will potentially need to have a know your customer profile built out, which again, we can share what we've been doing. We can share what we're working towards. And at the end of the day, every end user is going to need to go through some sort of KYC, whether it's from us, another carrier, or yourself as the wholesaler, reseller bundler. So again, I think the big piece here is, what am I today? What do I want to look like going forward? And what am I trying to own? So again, what I used to do, bundling everything together from telecom to everything else, well, can I still package in telecom to that portion of it? We know the billing component is really important, folks. And we have multiple models to support this. So again, look at this with your team, get with us afterwards. Ben, anything you'd add to this component here? Again, I know we have a hybrid with a lot of folks on here, but just go back to truth in billing. Who owns the bill and start from there.
No, I would say that don't panic. We have multiple partners. We have multiple resources. We have opportunities to tell you what would keep you safe today or tomorrow. But again, this is not anything about, hey, wholesalers or VARs are bad. Keep doing what you're doing. We have a lot of you folks that have already registered and doing the right things. Fantastic. But if you're not, just make sure you go down this list, this particular page here, and just check the boxes, right? Again, we're not going to give you legal advice. More importantly, if you really want to read details, go to the FCC's website, and this is the same things that are on there. And again, if you don't want to do it, we do have some options for you, and that's something that you would need to get with Mitch and team on. Mitch?
Yeah, spot on. Again, I think the big thing here is, what were you doing and what had you gone through in the past? So to Ben's point that's a really healthy model on the far right for the folks that have the team in place, have the back end processes in place to support that. Again, we have folks doing both of these. So go back to, am I owning the bill? How did I get into that? How many customers do I have in the far model or the middle model? We know people are in both. So again, we just want everyone to be aware of what's coming. Reach out to us separately for some one-on-one sessions around that. But again, it really starts with looking at what have we done from a RMD registration, taxation standpoint, and then we can get into the infrastructure and know your customer portion with your legal team and with us on the back end. All right, so to wrap things up here, sitting at 2:28, so we're pretty close to the 25, 30 minutes, but you're going to see this everywhere. So again, I think we had avoided putting out some notes on this until we started getting inquiries in June here with, hey, here's what I'm hearing. Here's what I'm hearing from this provider. Here's what I'm hearing from this partner. So we wanted to get ahead of the game with what we're hearing. And this was all built off of our meetings last week with our counsel. So again, happy to do separate sessions, happy to get into your case individually. It's not legal advice to Ben's point, but it is, an idea of what we're doing and what others are starting to do. So we're trying to build a bit of a community here where, you can lean on us, you can lean on a partner that we recommend that is using Flow Route in the same way you are, and they can walk you through what they've done or what they've tried to do. So again, the big piece here is the end customer who pays somebody directly, whether that's us, whether that's you, they're going to be contacted, have to go through this from a KYC perspective. Now, if there's tracebacks or other components of it, and you don't respond as that carrier, it will be service affecting to Ben's point. So we want to avoid that. We want you guys to avoid that. Think about who the billing contact is. Think about who you want the billing contact to be. Again, if you're not in a good spot, here's the time to start looking at it. If you are, everything's good. You're going to start likely picking up business or some consulting work from some other partners as well, because there's a number of folks that have avoided this over the last few years. So again, really to wrap things up, happy to do one-off sessions. We'll do some more detailed sessions on this as we get more information, as we build this out a bit more on our side. But work with your legal team to verify. And again, we have a list of Flow Route mentors that we're happy to put folks in touch with if you're sick of hearing from folks like Ben and myself. So I'm happy to do that. I know we had 3 or 4 of those conversations last week in person, and they all ended up in a different spot, right? Somebody had decided that they didn't want to go through the model they were going through now, and they're they're going to make some changes internally to do that. Some folks had decided that they do want to plow forward with how they're going to market now. They just needed to be registered in the RMD. So again, there's no right or wrong way. But if you're not going through what's being prescribed, there eventually will be a wrong way, because what you were doing won't be able to be passed or authenticated as we go along here. So again, we know that was a lot today. This is recorded. We can also break this down into separate sessions with your teams individually from a know your customer standpoint and a stir shaking standpoint. Starts with know your customer so that the carrier or yourself can verify who that is, who's coming on my network, and then you can decide how you're assigning calls from a stir shaking standpoint, which is where that digital certificate is coming from. So again, I appreciate everyone jumping in today. If you're not covered, reach out to us afterwards. We have all your emails, so everyone will receive this deck.
Mitch, you have a couple of questions, I think, on deck if you want to answer those.
Yeah, let me stop this real quick here, and we'll open it up for questions. All right, so I'm going to start at the bottom, read off an easy one. David Huntley, what is Ecom? Ecom is Flow Route, Siptrunk, and Sip US. So you'll start seeing that brand from our perspective. Again, we have multiple ways to market, but Flow Route being one of them. So Siptrunk and Sip US are other brands within our partners use both, but within our realm under BCM1. So easy one there. If you want to learn more about the other two, feel free. But again, the way you're using Flow Route today is probably the best considering your partnership. So go through a couple others here. Yes, the recording will likely be on YouTube. Let's get into a couple detailed ones. So Ben, here's one. We can tackle this together. How do current customers go through the procedure to get this done? I'd rather have them start now than wait till the 30-day deadline. We are a dealer, so my understanding is they will need to do this with you. Yeah, I think the big point there for that question, then I'll start it, is who owns the billing? So if you're saying you're in that dealer model, we're billing your end user, that verification piece is just, and we're going to handle all the call signing. We're going to handle all the stir shaking component. The KYC piece, they will receive some additional verification items that they'll have to go through. But if you're in that model where we are billing your customer, in that case, there's nothing for you to do. So happy to set up a one-off with you, Brian, for that. But it sounds like you're covered. We'll just have to walk you through what that additional information that your customer will need to fill out to be verified. But other than that, they will not have to go through any sort of RMD registration or that is on us. So let me actually share back here since you were asking about it. So what that question was referring to was the middle model here. Again, we own everything there. So no worries from that standpoint. Ben, here's one. What list does a MSP that bundles the phone into their full package fall? I would put that in the far right. Anything you'd add to that, Ben? It sounds like you're bundling that in as a kind of pass-through situation.
Yeah, but bottom line is if you're collecting telecom taxes, however you bill, whether it's bundled or unbundled, then you fall on the right-hand side. So again, if you are currently today collecting telecom taxes, you are on the right-hand side. To also add to Mitch's last question, every customer, and we've got 30,000 customers underneath our umbrella, every one of those 30,000 will have to go through a vetting process. But right now in this phase, we are just vetting brand new dealers who are coming on board with us and brand new customers. ETA, and don't hold me to this, we're probably going to start, vetting existing customers towards the end of the year, and we'll give everybody fair warning, right? We'll do a webinar on if you are a dealer of ours and we're going to do the KYC. Here are things we're going to ask from your customer. More importantly, if you take anything away from my statement here, is that you cannot do it for your customer. because we also have to prove that your customer works for that organization one way or the other. So the link, the vetting process will need to be done by your customer. You can coach them as far as what to expect, but they would have to do that themselves directly.
Yep, spot on. I know we've had a couple folks walk through that with our team in a one-on-one session. So again, happy to set that up. The other easy one, and if there aren't any other questions, we'll stick around for a bit more, but can we pre-file? Reach out to the RMD, reach out to your legal team and walk through some steps, the steps to do that. Again, I've had multiple partners tell us that they have started this process, whether they're going to go middle model or far right model as well. So definitely check that out. If you're looking to get in touch from a mentor perspective, last question here, I'll reach out to you individually afterwards and I'll set that one-on-one up for you. Maybe we can have a quick call to talk about where you're located, what you're doing today, and then I can put you in touch with the best person for you.